Good morning and welcome to the Standing Committees meeting for Wednesday, December 10th, 2025. All council meetings will be live streamed on the city's website. And for guest speakers joining us at the table, please do not turn off your microphones. Our first order of business is roll call. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charlin.
Here.
Mr. Coghill.
Here.
Ms. Gross. Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
Mr. Mosley.
Here.
Ms. Kell-Smith. Ms. Warwick.
Here.
Mr. Wilson. Ms. Strasburger, Chair.
Here.
6 members present.
Thank you. Our next order of business is public comment. I would like to remind all speakers that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before city council, and profanity will not be permitted. Please state your name and neighborhood for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Our first registered speaker is David Baer. We can see you, Mr. Baer, but we see that you're still on mute. Okay, we will move to our next registered speaker and come back to David Baer. Our next registered speaker is Ikahana Helmakina.
Greetings and good day. I am Chief Ikahana Haunakina, Grand Inca of the Iroquois Confederacy of Aboriginal American People.
If you're speaking, we can no longer hear you. Okay. Chief Ikahana, we'll come back to you if you would like to resume your public testimony. We will try moving back to our first registered speaker, David Baer. David Baer is still on mute. We will try moving to non-registered speakers and then move back to our registered speakers once they've concluded their remarks. So we will take those from the audience wishing to speak. If you would wish to speak, you can approach the podium.
Good morning. My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live at 715 Mercer Street. That's at the high rise at the top of Bedford. Yesterday when I left City Council, outside on the sidewalk, there was a young man that was calling out with a bullhorn, Carmen Brown, and he was talking about Carmen. I stopped and talked to him. He really moved my heart. He had tears in his eyes as he talked about her. But I tried to write something to Carmen. It says, Carmen, your encouragement, you gave me kind words, a reason of the money that was going to be gone and never return before the Homewood neighborhood had a clue. If you don't go down, she called me and said, Yvonne, if you don't go down and speak, there will be nothing we can do to keep Burgess and his scheme from coming true. What Burgess was going to do, he had a church, and my understanding, he was getting $1 million or a couple $1 million, and it was supposed to be for the community. But what he was getting ready to do was take that money and fix a building that he had for his church. Now, I keep saying, and you just know I do, I believe that church and state were supposed to be separate. But she had called me and said, I can't make it, Yvonne, and I know you go, so go down and speak. And I did. And it was the lady from the planning committee. I remember I spoke to her, and I pleaded with her, please look into this, because the community doesn't know. And sure enough, she took the money back. She took it back. So Carmen, I know some people said that she was kind of brass, and that she was kind of brass. Well, one time somebody was talking about this woman and that she's so loud and brass and stuff. And I thought they were talking about me, but they were talking about Carmen when she had sued Burgess and she won. She won. This woman, and I want to say too, I found out that she has children. And to the children, your mother, I give her all the praise and the glory because she stood and she fought for what she thought was true. Now, when I'm coming down, you just might not agree with me, but in my heart, I know I'm coming for all the people. With my son, he's dead. There's nothing I can do about it. But if I can stop another mother from having to go through this, I will. But to Carmen, thank you for being my friend. And thank you for fighting for all the people in your community and the city. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Special Agent Sunshine, I just want to say thank you, Lord, for every thief, liar, murderer, voodoo practitioner in this room and in this building. How about that? All these people that you see right now are connected to them. They all sleep with each other, men with men, women with women. Thank you for stealing from me and thinking that it would break me. But as you can see, without everything you've taken from me, here I still stand on the promises of God. And when he gives me the authority to remove all of your heads, I promise you, I'm going to use it with all the power, force, and strength that he gives me to remove them. Now, the 1,000 generations of ancestors I'm connected to, promise me they'll do it. I don't have to. In Jesus' name. I forgave all of y'all, but y'all gonna demon till you die, huh? Keep paying people, bribing them to take me out. I'm right here, I'm not hiding from nobody. Nobody. The code word for today's Advent is prospect. Imagine that. Your prospects are limitless, is what God says to me. God sees you not for who you are, but who you can become. When he first saw Peter, he said, you are a small pebble, but will become a great rock. That comes from John chapter 1, verse 42. Peter believed in it and later became the leader of the early church. Lord, help me see today what you see, incredible potential in me. In Jesus' name, amen. Most of my reason for being up here today is to share wisdom with you. Proverbs 18:5 says, it is not good to be partial to the wicked or to deprive the innocent of justice. Lavelle, you always say injustice for all. Really? You're the main person that wants me dead. What kind of justice are you really sitting on? You're going to be destroyed with your truth. which is jealousy, envy, and hate for me. I can't even praise God in this building because of you. It's very sad. Proverbs 21:7. The violence of the wicked will drag them away, for they refuse to do what is right. You think you're going to continue to live off of my billions? You're going to die trying. It's going to be a domino effect. It's already started in Jesus' name. Thank you, Lord, for using me as a vessel and an instrument to do your will, not mine. Amen.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Are there any further speakers in the audience? We will now return to our registered speakers. We'll try first David Baer one more time. David, if you can hear us and if you can take yourself off mute, you can begin. And if you can hear us and you're not able to speak today, feel free to send written testimony to the City Council, City Clerk's office. We'll move to Chief Ikahana Halmakina.
Greetings and good day. My title is Chief Ikahana Halmakina. I'm the Grand Inca of the Iroquois Confederacy of Aborigine American People. I thank you all for listening continuously to the words that I speak because they are inspired by Carmen Brown and people like her who are willing to put their reputation on the line to defend freedom, to defend truth. Not very popular to do so I understand why some had a disdain when they would see her because truth seekers are rarely celebrated. Carmen, C is for courageous, A, ambitious, R, revolutionary, M, magnificent, majestic, and masterful. Masterful meaning powerful and strong. E, empowering, and the N for noble. Really not up for public speaking at the moment because I am under the weather. But I just wanted to say that Carmen was irreplaceable. They broke the mold when they made that woman because it is very difficult to bear such a cross, if you will, to be unpopular or I don't even know what to say. I'm just not really feeling good today. However, Carmen, you are all this and more to me, the community to which you serve. I can only hope that her legacy produces more people who are as bold and unapologetic about telling the truth as she was. Her bullhorn should be dipped in gold and made part of a permanent display at the City County building to remind those who are elected to protect and serve the interests of the people of their duty. And with this, I'll close that well-behaved women rarely make history. And Carmen Brown, I'm happy that you decided to not be well-behaved. May your legacy live on in this city, and you will forever be remembered as a truth teller and truth seeker and exposing those who don't do the same. Thank you for your time, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers wishing to speak? Seeing none, we will now move on to our standing committee's agenda. Our first committee of the day is the Finance and Law Committee. We have deferred paper, Bill 2109.
Ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title I, Administrative, Article 9, Boards, Commissions, and Authorities, Chapter 178E, Registered Community Organizations by updating standards and responsibilities.
Motion, motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion, Councilmember Warwick.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Councilwoman Smith isn't here, but I just wanted to speak quickly to the meeting that we were on, the RCO one, yes? So to the meeting that we had about, Councilman, you're here too. So, so we had a meeting with RCOs from around the city came. It was a virtual call. It was actually, I thought it was actually a really nice meeting. It was, but you know, through the discussions, at least what I heard through discussions is that, one, that the RCOs really wanted more time to go through the details of what's changing with the dam, like with their own boards, right? Because there's quite a few changes there. Also that there were concerns about the timelines of submitting their form, right? Their opinion form about a particular. There were also questions about the dam waiver, both I felt from the city planning side and from this sort of like, what does that mean? Like, who's the waiver for? There were concerns about virtual versus in-person, who organizes that. That was also from my end. On the topic of, requiring a vote by residents for RCOs, that we got a lot of feedback that was just sort of too complicated, at least right now. Like maybe let's come back. So I'm open to striking that at whatever point. And there were also, I think, some sort of differing views, and one thing that comes to mind was around historic the dam meetings for historic districts. So and again, these are not my constituents, so I'm only just kind of repeating but there was one person talking about, I believe, the Mexican war streets and saying, oh yeah, it would be so much easier to not have to have those, you know what I mean, because we have to have all these input. Then at the same time, there was someone else from East Carson Street who was like, yeah, but we really need these dams because, businesses or, new businesses coming in and just, redoing the facade without consulting, and we're losing the look of the community. So there was sort of, folks were of two minds on that. At any rate, that is what I heard. I would recommend holding this. I am, and this is more a question I have is what does it mean, like this, if this legislation isn't, if we don't do this year, what is the process if we do want to do it next year? Does it just get reintroduced? I'm not sure if anybody can speak to that. Right, it dies, but what, like, can city planning bring it back or in some other form if needed?
The bill could be introduced by anyone, city planning or a council member.
Again, next year?
Yes.
Okay.
My understanding, it is not zoning or planning commission related enough to carry over into the next session. It would need to be reintroduced.
So it would need to be reintroduced. Anyway, that was just my takeaway from the meeting, is that this needs a little bit more time, and the RCOs need a little bit more time to weigh in. And I don't know, I thought the meeting was good. I'll just leave it at that. I guess I would like to motion to hold, or to, I don't know if, because we're ending the year, so if it would motion to table or motion to hold. I'm not really sure of the procedural.
You have a couple of
Right.
options. If the intention is to reintroduce the bill next year, you could motion to hold 4 weeks.
Okay.
And that would
And that
extend
would,
beyond
okay,
the
so
time
I'll
of the
motion
end
to
of the
hold,
year.
yeah, I'll motion to hold 4 weeks, and that will allow, I think but that would allow the planning team to sort of continue work without being like rushed or stressed to try and get something done in 2 weeks or whatever, to continue to work on this next year. I believe so. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak for the councilwoman. She's not here. I know it's her bill, so.
I'll just state one alternative option if you wanted to motion to hold for 1 week, and then there could be an additional conversation with the councilwoman here potentially next week. It's really up to, it's your prerogative.
Okay, I mean, that works for me. Do a motion to hold for 1 week.
Second.
Oh, could we move it later in the agenda? Is that?
Certainly.
Okay, well, let's wait and see, and then if she's here, we can, and if she's not here, I'll motion to hold for 1 week, so, thank you.
We will come back to 2109. Thank you. 2482.
Resolution authorizing and directing the mayor, solicitor, director of planning, and director of Office of Management and Budget pursuant to 204K of the Home Rule Charter to provide appropriate notice and terminate the contract with Sasaki and Common Cause Consultants per Article 3.2, termination of the agreement.
Motion to hold brief discussion.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Council President and I met with Dr. Bay and his team last week. It was a somewhat productive meeting, I would say. I haven't had the chance to fill all members in fully as to, the components of that, but we did agree to try to meet next week and discuss exactly everything we discussed when we met. Some of those things may change or not, but so I'm going to eventually motion to hold for 1 week, but I wanted to open it up for conversation in case members had anything they wanted to add.
Any further discussion? Councilman?
Motion to hold for 1 week.
Second.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of a 1 week hold on Bill 2482, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Bill will be held 1 week. And similar Bill 2483.
Bill 2483, resolution authorizing and directing the mayor, solicitor, director of planning, and a director of the Office of Management and Budget pursuant to 204K of the Pittsburgh Home Rule Charter to provide appropriate notice and terminate the contract with HRNA Advisors in Urban AC LLC per Article 3.2, termination of the contract.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of a 1 week hold, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Bill will be held 1 week. New papers, Bill 2566.
Resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Joya Petty in an amount not to exceed $2,950 over 1 year in full and final settlement of a claim for damage to her vehicle from a city fire vehicle on August 21st, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2566, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2567.
Resolution authorizing the execution of a quitclaim deed and associated agreements conveying all of the city's right, title, and interests in and to that certain city-owned property located at 5472 Broad Street, 11th Ward of the city and designated in the Deed Registry Office of Allegheny County as Block 50M302 to Charles McKinney Jr. and Shirley Simmons McKinney.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2567, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2568.
Bill 2568, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Bloomfield Garfield Corporation Broad Street Remediation Fund for a single payment in 2025 in an amount not to exceed $499,999 in full and final settlement of litigation filed in the Allegheny County Common Pleas Court.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2568, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2569.
Resolution amending Resolution 924 of 2024, effective December 18, 2024, entitled Resolution Adopting and Approving the 2025 Capital Budget, the proposed 2025 Community Development Program, and the 2025 through 2030 Capital Improvement Program by decreasing Bridge Preservation and Restoration Fund tip by $7,250, increasing the 28th Street Bridge tip by $145,000, and increasing Charles Anderson Bridge tip by $5,291,632, $5,429,382 of which is reimbursable by the Federal Highway Administration and Pennsylvania Department of Transportation at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2567, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2570.
Resolution amending Resolution 422 of 2025, which authorized 19 open-end professional services agreements with 10 vendors to provide professional services on an on-call basis as required related to special event services as needed by the various departments of the city, by adding 6 professional services agreements with 3 additional vendors for a total of 25 open-end professional services agreements with 13 vendors.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2570, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, yes.
I just wanted to point out, because I keep harping on these titles of these bills, how misleading it is to authorize the 19 open-ended service agreements. Maybe this isn't the one I was doing the math. There was one with, I might have mixed up which one this is. I was looking at one recently, which is not this one, I think, which was like $250,000, but for 6 agreements. So it was really about like 1.25 or 1.75 million. But this one is not that. So I'm gonna just say my apologies. I've been watching and waiting for that other one, but it's not this one. Thank you.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2571.
Resolution amending Resolution 506 of 2023, which authorized an amended cooperation agreement or agreements with the City of Pittsburgh Equipment Leasing Authority for the purchase and leasing of vehicles, equipment and accessories, equipment support infrastructure, and professional services in fiscal year 2022 by increasing the authorized amount by $150,000 for a new not-to-exceed total of $13,262,081.36.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2571, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2573.
Resolution amending Resolution 92 of 2019 to provide for the extension of a professional services agreement by a term of 1 year with Dickey, McCamey, and Chilcote for costs associated with the provision of legal services for the City Controller's Office and an additional cost of $50,000 for a new not-to-exceed amount of $80,000.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2573, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to invoices. Is there a motion on invoices?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of invoices, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Invoices are approved. That moves us to interdepartmental transfers. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of interdepartmental transfers, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Transfers are approved. That moves us to P cards. Is there a motion on P cards?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of P cards, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. P cards are approved. That moves us to Public Works and Infrastructure Committee chaired by Councilmember Warwick.
Recommitted papers, Bill 2574. Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement or agreements with Caliber Contracting Service, Inc. for costs associated with the construction of the Sawmill Run Salt Storage Facility and providing for the payments not to exceed $6,907,813.31 over a period of 2 years.
Motion to approve discussion, but I don't see
Second.
the director here.
Second, discussion. Can anyone speak to Bill 2574 on Sawmill Run Salt Storage?
Want me to speak for it?
Also
Is
move
it-
it to
is
the
there-
end of
is
the,
there-
yeah, well, let's move that one to the
Anyone
end of the
wanna
meeting
try?
as well. Yeah, this was rule aided yesterday, so.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move this one to the end of the meeting as well.
Thank you, appreciate
We'll
it.
move on to supplemental new papers, Bill 2625.
Resolution
keep moving to
authorizing
the
the
end,
Director
then it's gonna
of the
be the
Department of
beginning.
Finance and the Director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure on behalf of the City of Pittsburgh to enter into certain permanent and temporary construction easements in order to advance the Trolley Trail project at no cost to the city.
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
Sorry, motion to approve.
Discussion?
Yeah, discussion.
Second discussion,
Here for them?
Councilwoman Cale Smith.
Thank you. So just a little background about the trolley trail. I started this trolley trail with just two other people, Carl Suter and Pastor Carver, Dave Carver. And before I was ever elected. So almost, I think it's 22 years ago. And every time a new mayor came in, they'd hold it up because they didn't like me. But I did the first part of the trail kept out of all recycled material. It was a great project. Could you talk a little bit about this?
Sure.
Where we are now? Because it's
Yeah.
been a long time. I think it's finally moving.
It is. It has been a long time. That is correct. We are finally we're at the very end of the design phase here for the trail portion. This is really the last piece to build. It's before the committee right now. So there will be, the trail will be asphalt with gravel shoulders, and as part of that, as part of dealing with the runoff from the trail, the stormwater management, there will be kind of open gravel underneath to kind of take the water and hopefully infiltrate most of it back in the ground so it's not causing additional, flow issues. But there is provisions for some of, excess water to be collected and put into the storm sewer.
So just so people know, the trolley trail starts at the Crafton Borough line and goes all the way into the west end, and it connects with other trails. So I want people to understand it's an important piece for the trails in District 2 and with Mount Washington and now the north side. So
Absolutely.
because it will connect to the north side trails too.
Yes, yes.
I just want to make sure people understand the connections. Yeah, it doesn't connect to Montour, right? Does it? Well, they're trying to do that one piece, right?
That would be on probably the other end, and I'm not
end,
terribly
yeah.
familiar with what's out there, but I know,
It comes to back behind the Old Stone Tavern, and so they're trying to put the trestle as part of the trail right above Johnny's Diner. They're trying to make that part. It's a whole complicated, but they all connect, and it will be great. And somehow
Right.
to Sawmill Run too. I don't know how.
You don't want to come over my way.
I don't want to come over your way, but I'm there every week anyway because I got family there. Remember?
right.
But anyway, so it's a project that's really important to a lot of people in the West End and Southwest Pittsburgh who like to travel with bikes or walking or whatever. So I'm happy that this part's moving. So is there anything else you think?
No, this is just to do an easement. So the stormwater pipes have to tie into the PWSA main, which is under property owned by, I believe it's Lamar Outdoor Advertising. So they're willing to give us an easement.
Actually, we own that property. We allow Lamar to use the property.
Okay.
There's
The
an
properties that
agreement.
we
Just so
are
you know.
looking at are actually listed as their ownership, so maybe there's a couple different ones. But
Yeah.
anyway, they've indicated their agreement with it, so this will allow us to enter into an easement, and it's really the last piece of the puzzle
Okay.
to put the project out to bid.
Thank you. So I'm happy, excited to see. I said Kim will be happy. She'll be able to cut the ribbons for everything I worked 17 years for. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Kako.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Eric,
Yes.
It's going to be Kim.
the what?
I said, I just want to add, I'm glad it's going to be Kim.
You know, there is an abandoned rail line that goes over the parkway right outside of the Fort Pitt tunnels.
There is.
Okay. Does that trail that Councilwoman is producing or in the works, does that come close to that on that side? Is it the same rail? Is it the same rail line?
It's not the same rail line. So
Yeah.
this was an old trolley line that's been abandoned for decades. But as the councilwoman alluded to, this will get you into the West End and could tie into that if that
Right,
trail could come to
right.
fruition.
So how complicated is it to get permission from the railroad or the government, I guess, as to like making that coming into my greenway, which would connect
Right,
her district and my district over the parkway, which would be huge. I mean, we would welcome and love that. You know, my greenway is it's the biggest greenway in the city outside of Hayes Woods, I think. So, so is that like a complicated? Is that worth pursuing? Is it not?
There are some efforts out there to pursue that.
Oh, you mean this actual?
Yeah,
span?
so interestingly, the alignment that you're talking about, that abandoned rail corridor, is actually owned by PennDOT. I think that came about as part of the West End Circle project from a number of years ago. I've been involved in some conversations. They are open to selling that alignment to another entity. I think, certainly some of the trail partners around are interested in making that happen. But I think it's a matter of finding the right entity, either government or nonprofit, who has the resources to
build
take it on, build it,
When
and
you
then
say
maintain
buy, is there actually a sales price, or will we be looking to get that donated? I mean, that can't be an asset for them, right?
I can't speak for certainty on that.
I understand. But PennDOT owns it.
PennDOT owns it.
Well, that
and-
seems like an easier path than the federal government. Is that
No, and PennDOT has
correct?
indicated that they are happy to. They don't want to own it.
Right.
They're happy to
right,
give it
right.
to, or transfer
Sure.
it to someone who's able to take it.
Got it. So there's conversation going around that.
There are some conversations.
I would love to, if I can help in any which way, chime in with PennDOT or whatever, just let me know, because that would really be a unique, really nice thing to get over that parkway, and to be joining District 2 and District 4 would be in a beautiful trail, beautiful set of woods, so. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear it's in PennDOT's hands and not the federal government. I just feel like it's an easier path, and I'm glad to hear there's conversations around it, so thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilwoman Cale Smith, I want to just congratulate you for getting to this point. I know this has been a long time coming, so you're getting there.
When the next time when you come for the Easter egg hunt, you can have your son run the trail.
Running with sprints.
You and your son.
Seeing no further discussion, we will, all those in favor of Bill, just want to make sure. Where are we? 2625, please indicate by saying
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for your work on this.
affirmative recommendation. Thank you. New papers, Bill 2575.
Resolution authorizing the taking, appropriating, and condemning by the city of Pittsburgh of certain easements, necessary for the completion of temporary construction work for sidewalk construction and associated miscellaneous work for public transportation purposes through eminent domain, and further authorizing the payment of just compensation and necessary and incidental acquisition costs related thereto for the Liberty Avenue HSIP project at an amount not to exceed $180,000, reimbursable at 80%.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2575, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2576.
Resolution providing for a supplemental agreement or agreements with KCI Technologies, Inc. for costs associated with the final design phase of the 28th Street Bridge project and providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $2,258,523.86, an increase of $1,241,590.99 from the previously executed agreement.
To approve?
Second.
Discussion? Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you. Mr. Setzler, do you want to, again, just kind of give us a high-level overview of why we're doing this?
Sure. This is the 28th Street Bridge connecting the Strip District to Polish Hill. This project will complete a complete rehabilitation of the bridge. The truss will remain. Will be a new deck placed. There's some approach spans on the Strip District side that will be replaced. The sidewalks will be widened, and the approach ramp coming down to Liberty Avenue, the walls will remain, but the roadway will be
Historic
reconstructed.
walls.
Yeah,
Yes, very good.
yeah.
Good, because it's looking a little rough up on top when you're on
Yeah.
the surface level, so I appreciate that. And this is another bridge project, so we appreciate all of the work that's being done to secure and make our bridges safe. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2576, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2577.
Resolution providing for an amended reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the preliminary engineering, final design, and right-of-way phases of the Larmer Avenue Bridge project, providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $3,700,000, an increase of $2,100,000 from the previously executed agreement, reimbursable at 95%. This resolution serves to authorize only the amended reimbursement agreement or agreements at a total cost of $4,500, an increase of $3,000 from the previously executed agreement to the City of Pittsburgh. Future resolutions will authorize the project-specific service agreements.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2577, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2578.
Resolution amending Resolution 554 of 2024, providing for a reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the preliminary design, final design, and right-of-way phases of the 28th Street Bridge project, providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $2,975,000, an increase of $145,000 from the previously executed agreement for costs associated with the final design phase of the project, reimbursable at 95%, and a municipal share of Commonwealth incurred costs not to exceed $5,500, an increase of $0 from the previously executed agreement.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2578, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2579.
Resolution amending Resolution 420 of 2024, which provided for an amended reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the preliminary engineering, final design, right-of-way, and construction phases of the Charles Anderson Bridge project, providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $63,681,632, an increase of $5,291,632 for costs associated with the construction phase of the project from the previously executed agreement. This resolution serves to authorize only the amended reimbursement agreement or agreements at a cost not to exceed $7,100, an increase of $0 from the previously executed agreement for costs associated with the preliminary design, final design, and right-of-way phases of the project. Future resolutions will authorize the project-specific service agreements.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2579, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2580.
Resolution providing for an amended reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the preliminary engineering, final design, and right-of-way phases of the West Carson Street Bridge project, providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $2,150,000, an increase of $1,250,000 from the previously executed agreement. This resolution serves to authorize only the amended reimbursement agreement or agreements at a cost of $3,250, an increase of $1,750 from the previously executed agreement to the City of Pittsburgh. Future resolutions will authorize the project-specific service agreements.
Motion to approve. Discussion?
Second, yeah.
Second, with discussion?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that this project is something, there's a guy in Esplin that has been waiting for this for years, and he actually, you might see him on Twitter, sometimes he tags all of us, well, X now, his handle's Orison Squirrel, and he had a photo up of me on a billboard saying, Councilwoman Smith invites you to Esplin to sell your drugs and ride across the broken bridge and whatever, all this kind. It was, I mean, it was his way of getting attention, but he is so excited that this is finally happening, so thank you so much. I love to see Esplin getting some investment because it's a part of town that a lot of people don't know about and they receive very little. So I just want to make sure that people know that that's where this is located. And Esplin, it connects to McKees Rocks, so thank you.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's it, thanks.
Any further discussion?
I'm leaving now so I can talk about all these things that people tag me on.
Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2580, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2581.
Resolution providing for an amended reimbursement agreement or agreements with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation for costs associated with the preliminary engineering, final design, and right-of-way phases of the Elizabeth Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project, providing for the payment of the cost thereof not to exceed $1,400,000, an increase of $750,000 from the previously executed agreement, federally reimbursable at 100%. This resolution serves to authorize only the amended reimbursement agreement or agreements at no cost to the City of Pittsburgh. The future resolutions will authorize the project-specific service agreements.
Motion to approve. Brief discussion?
Second.
With discussion?
Yeah, so just a quick question, just on the timeline, if you could just remind me again.
Yeah, so the Elizabeth Street Bridge, we are wrapping up the preliminary engineering phase, which is why we have this reimbursement agreement amendment coming through to add costs for final design.
Okay.
And currently the project has a June 2028 let date for construction, so we got a little ways to go still.
Okay, sounds good. I know that there are, the neighbors around. I sort of get a lot of questions periodically, just about the impact that it'll have on the neighbors directly. Just whenever the time feels right to have Jan come in and just talk to maybe a Hazelwood Initiative meeting or Greater Hazelwood Community Collaborative meeting.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Yeah, just sort of so people know what to expect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because there's the mural on the one side, and you know what I mean, just all those.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2581, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2582.
Resolution granting unto 903 Liberty Avenue LLC, their successors and assigns, the privilege and license to construct, maintain, and use at their own cost and expense at no cost to the city, 2 electrical vaults, a concrete entry stoop with a railing and an existing foundation wall at 901 Liberty Avenue, 2nd Ward, 1st Council District.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2582, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2583.
Resolution granting a vacation of 8th Street from Penn Avenue to Fort Duquesne Boulevard, the northern portion of Maddock Place, and an unnamed way from 9th Street to its terminus, no cost to the city, 2nd Ward, 1st Council District.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Councilwoman Gross?
Yeah, is this downtown?
Yes.
Interrogatory?
Thank you.
If
Or
you
I could
wish,
ask
or
Mr.
if whoever,
Setzler.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, this is downtown between Penn Avenue and Fort Duquesne Boulevard in the Cultural District. This is the site of the Arts Landing Park that is under construction right now by the Cultural Trust.
And why are we vacating it?
They want to, basically, 8th Street just goes from Penn to Fort Duquesne, and they want to incorporate the whole thing into the site to make the park a little more seamless.
Well, I mean, the zoo's on a 35-year lease. It's still city property. But I hate vacating streets. Absolutely see no reason at all to give up public property, as I always say, especially riverfront public property, because somebody always wants streets that are near the rivers. Is there water and sewer infrastructure under the 8th Avenue, as I suspect there would be?
There is, yes, and part of the approval does require there to be easements granted for the utilities.
I'm thinking of something like, we really ran into very expensive trouble when, in the Strip District, when I represented it, when, you know, there had been easements granted, but then, you know, something built on top, and then 30 years later, the city and PWSA went under like tremendous expense to move the water and sewer infrastructure, because all of a sudden the property owner didn't want it under there anymore, and it was kind of a big debacle. Cost millions. So it's great that we're getting the investment downtown. It's really great that we're getting, I think, more riverfront public recreation space, the new park. But I don't see the point of vacating it, and I have seen downsides. Again, they're not, you know, immediate, but it runs into significant public expense decades later. So I don't know how much it was considered. Who's kind of worked out this deal?
I mean, the Cultural Trust.
Just asked for it,
submitted the
and
application.
Domi said yes.
And we went through the process, yes, and then approved it based on following all the.
All right.
the
I honestly think we're
processes, yes.
way past the time of just letting, this is why this has to come to a public vote, because it is public property, and city council has the authority, not city departments. And there was a time, you know, 30 years ago when half the city was being abandoned, and, you know, streets were definitely more of a burden than an asset. But this is a downtown, property, and it seems like it wouldn't be a barrier to the project to just put it on a 35-year lease, like, again, the zoo and like lots of other assets. So I don't really understand the point of just having it fill out the form on the Domi website like it's some forgotten alley in a abandoned part of the city. So I've got concerns. I'll leave it there, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Sorry, I was thinking of my own questions to ask. Councilman Wilson, and then I see other questions.
Yeah. So working with the team at the Cultural Trust, just becoming aware of, you know, the full project. This was the option that was considered. So I appreciate you bringing up the 35-year lease option. Is it okay to continue on and we can discuss this, you know, go into final vote and seeing if that's the better option? Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not against what you're talking. I'd like to learn more about it. But then also the process that you have in place, could you explain that? Like, do you do some sort of study to understand what's...
Yeah, we look at a variety of things. So the utilities is one. So if someone is requesting a street vacation, they need to get sign off from all the utilities, either saying the utilities are not impacted or saying, you know, whatever. As I said, there are some, I think, water and sewer lines at least somewhere here, and Pittsburgh Water, I think, is getting an access easement for those. in this case, the adjacent property owners have to sign off, if you will, on this. The Cultural Trust owns a lot of the land around the areas that are being vacated, both on A Street and Maddock Place. However, there are a couple other property owners adjacent to 8th Street, closer to Penn Avenue, and in the application package, they did provide letters of support from those adjacent property owners. And then I think from Domi's standpoint, as far as a transportation need, we do evaluate it that way, and certainly sensitive I am to the idea that Councilman Gross said, but I guess since the transportation network is not terribly impacted by vacating the street, since there are alternate streets, it only goes one block and those kinds of things. So from that aspect, kind of from an administrative side, that's why we have approved it.
So I do see some front door access on at least one property, if I remember correctly, and that property owner signed off as well. I can't remember the address, but it was right behind the tract development, the one that has a restaurant.
Yeah, they did sign off. If there's, some more specific details, we could go back and get you some more information.
I think it's the
on that.
laborer's property.
What'd you say?
The Liuna, the laborer's property. That's the one I'm referring to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they must have signed off as well.
They did, and I don't have those letters in front of me here, but I think that they are in the packet that's attached to the legislation. Certainly if you want to check that out, and as I said, if you have any more questions.
All right.
Just one other thought as we're discussing here. I don't think that procedurally we can lease right-of-way as we could like a private parcel. Certainly we do issue encroachments onto right-of-way as maybe the procedure that we would use to allow someone to access a right-of-way.
Thanks. Thank you. All right. I'll follow up after this with some of these other concerns. So thank you.
Okay.
Tippy toes here.
Councilmember Warwick, and then I have a question, then Secretary Brown.
I just had, just with regard to Councilwoman Gross's question, I'm just looking at the map. So, is there something, so if there are sewer line, if there are utility lines underneath, is there like a prohibition in the street vacation to build anything above those that would make it hard to access?
So the street vacation itself does not have any future prohibitions. It's basically the city saying we are giving up our right of way, and once that happens, we're out of it. Now, Pittsburgh Water, I believe, has said they need an easement for their line, and there could be terms in that easement saying that you can or can't build within that easement area. But the actual vacation itself, doesn't have any like additional future terms because we're basically releasing our rights to the property.
And so we're releasing our, I'm assuming, apologize, I'm not super familiar with the arts landing, but is the idea that it would be publicly accessible?
It will be incorporated into the park, which is owned by the Cultural Trust.
Okay. Is there anything in the park that requires them to let the public use it? I'm just thinking some future.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't comment on that. I'm just not sure.
Okay. Anyway, it's not my district, but it would be a shame if somehow this is, currently it's public right-of-way that allows people to access a park, and it would be a shame if that were ever taken away from the public.
Thank you. My question is, I'm seeing the text of the bill and I see all these easements. Clearly, like, you do all this work, so Pittsburgh Water reserves the right for utility easement, People's Gas, Duquesne Light, Verizon, they all have utilities under there. I guess this question could be for any utility, but now in this new world of post-asset transfer, yes, there's an easement for Pittsburgh Water to be able to access the 12-inch water line and a 12-inch storm sewer and a 42-inch combination sewer. But I'm wondering, in our process, should we amend our process so that we are, with any of these, but I guess I'm focusing on Pittsburgh Water, so that we are ensuring that the asset that we're going to be inheriting the property over is sound before we inherit that street over it. So a demonstration that the sewer and the water lines have been televised and have been repaired recently or have been replaced recently, or that we're not inheriting that in poor condition.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
That's a
have.
good question. Yeah, well,
Do we
and
do
we're
that?
not inheriting it in this particular case.
We're not inheriting it, but we're inheriting the street on top of it, the land on top of it, right?
No, we're giving that, by vacating it, that land will transfer ownership to the
It is
Cultural
currently
Trust.
ours, and we're giving it to Cultural Trust. I thought it was the opposite. Okay.
Yeah. So it is a public right of way. By vacating the public right of way, the ownership will go to the Cultural Trust. So
And
they
they're-
will own the land.
And they're not requiring that in theirs.
They will have, the easements will be between the Cultural Trust and the utilities. But I can't speak to anything as far as if they're requiring anything like that.
Yeah, clearly I had the actual transfer mixed up in my mind, but okay, that's interesting though that they are. Okay, I think I have no more questions for this. Second round, Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you, appreciate it. And again, I'm asking my staff if they've got better notes, but this was in the Strip District, and very similarly, it had been private property for a long time, decades. And, but there was water and sewer under it. So this will become private property. And then, a few decades later, they're like, you know what? Actually, no, we're going to build. And, so PwC and the city were like, but wait, we have to connect near the river from sewer from one street to the other. Everybody else is building too, where you have to rebuild the sewers, and it costs millions to move those sewers. I think URA, I don't know, everybody seemed to have to pony up all of a sudden. And if it hadn't been sold, then we wouldn't have faced those costs. And then secondly, some of our districts have had massive urban renewal projects where streets were vacated. And then, it's kind of fine when nobody lives nearby, maybe for decades. Not that urban renewal was ever decade, but nobody complained that there were no streets. But then, so where I live, or where I represent New Friendship and the whole kind of East Liberty corridor, and I represent Baum and then half of Center, and Councilwoman Strasburger represents the other half of Center Avenue near the bottom of East Liberty, the southern part of East Liberty. If you're on foot, you're walking 3 or 4 blocks to get around the block. And those streets originally had kind of 3 or 4 intersections, but they're all cut off and stop from Friendship on Baum. And now there's giant projects built. So if you want to get from Baum over to Center, you're walking many streets. And so I don't think this should be, even if council supports it being vacated, I think we put the easement on it for public access. God knows in bigger cities that do this more, you can walk through city streets right through New York City buildings, and it's still city street because that foyer or hallway. They didn't vacate it so that you wouldn't have that problem of having to walk all the way around. So like, I don't know, it's 53rd and a half Street or something crazy like that. It's literally like public access. We also did it at the produce terminal where they were like, oh, we want to kind of have this building, but we want to cut it off. And we made sure that there was public access through it so people could not have to walk 6 blocks to get around the building, right? That they're in the transfer, we made sure that there was access. And so similarly here, I mean, if this is going to be an entirely private park, not that we don't today love the Cultural Trust and are grateful for the downtown projects, we are. We're grateful that there's going to be a new park. We love that there's, that they're undertaking the majority of the project. But future Cultural Trust or future private property owner, because now it's theirs, they can sell it, can wall it in, can build on it, can do lots of things. So if the spirit of the project is that this is supposed to have pedestrian access, let us ensure it before we sell it, because vacating is selling, and then it's not ours anymore. And so I don't think we should have assumptions. I think if that is what is the intent, it shall not be walled in, it shall not be, it shall retain its public access. We do this all the time. This is what this table did in negotiating the 35 miles of riverfront. This is exactly what we did. We required of the private property owners that there be public access along the river's edge so that we could create, 5 miles of trails, for example, on the Allegheny River. So those should be in place here. So there are big public policy issues, which is, again, I don't think this is just like a perfunctory administrative issue. So with all due respect. I'm going to vote no. And I do hope that we work on this. I would support a hold for a week so we can make sure that we know what's being put in place here. Again, it's not my district, it's not other people's districts, but it is downtown. And I think this is an important decision to take. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Wait,
I'm gonna let
Councilman
Councilman-
Wilson and then Councilmember Warwick.
Thank you, Chair. I'm good with holding it for a week. I just want to clarify, make sure we're all on the same page. But at the same time, we'll have some engagement throughout the week hold.
Thanks.
But, the plan, at least for the 8th Street portion, is to have it built to street grade, and then it would allow emergency access. But what's that street called? The Maddock Place? I'm not sure of that. The northern part of Maddock Place. I think that one, my understanding, looking at the design, that one would be incorporated into like a full part of the park. So, motion to hold 1 week.
Second. Thank you,
Can we reserve that while we had one more comment
Sure.
and then make the motion? Okay, so Councilmember Warwick.
I just have one, this is sort of anecdotal, and I don't know the history of this space, right? I'm not,
Yeah.
so it's the PPG Paints square, right, with the popping fountain, right? So downtown, yeah. And I don't know the history of that space. So, but just to say that I have seen personally, since I moved to Pittsburgh, when we very first moved to Pittsburgh and our kids were just little, right? We used to go to that square in the summertime. We do a bike ride down the river, bike downtown, and that was, and there were all these stops. There was the water steps on the north shore, right? And that was one of our stops. That was the first stop on this lake. And the kids had so much fun playing in that fountain, right? That popping fountain. It was great. There would just be kids all the time. And then slowly and I remember at the time, and this is years ago, right, thinking, we should have an action. So the security guard would come out, and it was very slowly. First it started that the kids had to have shoes. And then it was like the kids couldn't be wearing like a swimsuit. They had to have a shirt and shorts. And it was just like more and more and more. And now you cannot do it at all, right? And it's like, so nobody can play in the fountain. And there was always a security guard. And just as a parent, I just remember over the years just being like, this is crazy. Like, this is a public, I don't care who owns it, but this is a public space. And this was so much fun. And there were so many kids that used to play in it. But, it's PPG's right, I guess, to and And it just was such a shame. And it was like, I just remember years ago thinking, we should have an action of parents and just storm the place. Just like have all the kids play in the fountain and like, you know what I mean? Like let the poor security guard call his manager or something, you know what I mean? At any rate, so I just, that scenario, it, reminds me of that, like, so is, and it does, and regardless of who owns it, the city owns it, they own it, like, it feels like a public space, and it feels like, and in that particular, in the PPG square, right, I mean, I'm fairly certain that they can tell people that they can't sit there if they want to, right, if someone wants, so that doesn't feel right. Again, I don't know the history of that area, but it would be good to ensure that something like that doesn't happen here. That's all. Thanks.
We were going to have a motion, but we have Council President Lavelle as well.
Just a quick question. You may have answered it and I may have missed it. Did the neighboring property owners sign off on this?
They did. The Cultural Trust owns most of the adjacent property, but not all of it, and there are sign-offs from the other adjacent property owners in the application.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Wilson?
Big moment. Motion to hold 1 week, please.
Second. Thank you.
Discussion? All those in favor of a 1 week hold, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Thank you. That moves us to, well, actually, we will go back up to
Thank you. Have a good
the
day.
first on this portion of the agenda of the Public Works Committee. The Bill 2574, the salt storage facility. So we had a motion and a second, and we're at discussion. Thank you for coming to the table. I think we're still on first round discussion. We wanted to wait for you, Councilwoman Cale Smith, to
Thank you. I wasn't
discuss
sure what
this.
you were
No, I mean, I've already, we've already sort of talked about the details, and yesterday I expressed what I learned from Director Hornstein, so I'll let members.
Could you talk to us a little bit about the whole project and what the breakdown of the cost is and the scope of the building, the measurements, all that stuff?
Oh, absolutely. So Chris Hornstein, Director of Public Works.
Chip Gall, Assistant Director of Public Works Facilities.
So Chip, do you want to just break down the overall cost?
Can I just say first, just so the public knows, this is for the Salt Dome on Route 51. We have a cost for $6 million to demolish and reconstruct a facility there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so I just want the public to know. So the reason I asked for a hold yesterday, or to recommit the bill yesterday, was because I talked with the county, and they have a facility that they built that's comparable, somewhat comparable, and it was $1.6 million for the entire project. So I just want to make sure that we're in the same ballpark, at least and if that we're doing the proper process. Okay.
Sure. The added costs are mostly to do with the site work necessary, as well as stormwater requirements, given its proximity to Sawmill Run, the creek, as well as the capacity that we need to add to that facility. That's the short answer to it, as well as making sure that we have safe access to and from the property, given its proximity to
I
Sawmill.
want to be honest with you. I mean, we're struggling with this budget this year, and $6 million is a good chunk of money that we really need to really scrutinize, to be honest with you. And so I'm wondering why this is so important to rebuild, not renovate or do whatever repairs, and what the cost of the repairs would be. Have you looked into that? I want to know what our options are to maybe reduce this price, because it's costly, and I think we should try to get it down as much as we can.
So the building is really all of our salt domes, but especially this one is showing signs of delamination. There are holes, showing that the concrete is deteriorating. The reinforced steel is corroding and failing. Also, the electrical components, the emergency ventilation system in the dome has failed and is not working. So it is it's not just about the safety of all Pittsburghers in terms of, streets and snow operations, but the building itself is a safety hazard, so it does need to.
It's the safety hazard, I understand, it's the current concern, but I do also know that you have stored salt in places without being in a dome, especially, Councilman Coghill can talk to that a little bit. But so I know that having a dome is not the absolute necessary thing right now when we're in a very tight budget. So for me, I'm having an issue. It's in my district, I want to see it happen, but I don't want to see it happen if there's a better priority for these dollars right now.
Well, and we also, two comments, and sorry, Director, I'll let you weigh in too. So we're getting away from the salt dome for that reason, so we don't have this problem again in, 15, 20, 30 years, because instead of replacing it with concrete and reinforced steel, we're replacing it with glulam wood beams that will be more resistant.
That's what the county did too, correct?
I'm not familiar with that project, so I'd have to, I don't know if you are familiar.
I think the scope's, it's
I'd have to
almost the
look at
same
that.
size, everything, from what I understand.
But the design is intended to prevent this from recurring. We're just constructing a different kind of structure for that reason.
I know other members have questions, so I'm going to let them go and have their questions, and then I'll probably come back for a second round. But I'm sorry.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Councilwoman.
Councilman Coghill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, the councilwoman decided to recommit this yesterday. I agreed with her. Nobody wants to see this dome replaced more than me. I've been a big advocate of it, and I'm glad that, we finally got to this stage. I was thrilled. The price tag does seem a little heavy. So, Chip, let me ask you this. The ventilation, the steel that's kind of showing through now, did we ever price it to repair? And what would that look like?
I'm not aware of a cost estimate to repair now. Just that the damage is extensive, and we have to rebuild we have to rebuild entirely. It's not like doing masonry pointing work, for example.
You don't think it could be repaired?
I don't.
And the director said last week as well, I know we asked, and, he thought it was irreparable. We are in a tight situation with the budget, as you know. What is the cost as to the environmental aspect of this? Like you said about the Sawmill Run Boulevard, what are they requiring us to do that we wouldn't have to do on, say, a site where a new Public Works division is being built?
Well, let's go through that. So, and kind of to answer some of Councilwoman Kell-Smith's original questions. So we did go through an internal process to identify, is this the ideal site? And it is. All other suitable sites would be on that side of town that would be accessible to our drivers to install. They're all located in city parks. So we would have to give up parkland and recreational assets in order to perform this function. That at the time, considering the deterioration of the structure, pathway to go through that kind of public process seemed non-viable in my professional estimation. So this is the ideal location. Second question, sir, you're asking, what are the incurred costs, right? So, in order to meet the stormwater requirements of DEP on this site and this location, we not only have to demo the existing structure, build a new structure, but we also have to demolish all the existing concrete, regrade, pour new concrete. Those total costs are about $4 million. So that is just simply related to where this exists in the world and the things that we have to do in order to make this safe both operationally and environmentally.
Is it the same company that's going to demo it as to build the new one?
That's correct.
Okay, so $4 million of that is in the demolition and the standards that the
Correct.
EPA is holding us to. Is
Correct.
that right? Yeah. If we had another site, so it would cost a couple $1 million?
It depends on the conditions of that site, right? I can't really speculate on what another site's costs might
Say
have.
we had an ideal site, Say
Oh,
building the structure itself, we know is going to be about $2
if we had a green grass ideal site that was perfectly flat, sir, your site work costs would be
significantly
a million, not 4 million.
Right. Yeah. So 2/3 of this cost is in. Obviously we had to remove the dome that we have there because that's where we're going to build a new one. Same footprint, right? Okay. But what about Moore Park? I know we store salt there, and I want to get rid of that too. But that's outside without a lid or without anything overhead.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
The difference here is this is the largest location that we have, and this is where we store salt in the summer months. So, without a large depot that can hold the large volume of salt, What that puts us at risk of is just relying on delivery to get to store and have salt and be actionable. And so deliveries would be constant. It would be a huge operational risk for us to incur, especially on that side of town. We would not be able to, if we had a slate of storms that we had like last year, we would not be able to absorb that. We would not be able to get salt in fast enough to respond to the winter weather events.
Right. And the reason why we can't just store it like we have at Moore Park in a bin is because it hardens and it's not usable after a certain amount of time.
That's
Is
correct.
It's just temporary at Moore Park, right? It's kind of like
Right,
through
that's
the-
what we do that season.
We don't
do
have
that-
we have salt there now probably.
Yes,
but
we do
not
salt
the
there
summer
now.
months.
We do that seasonally just to make it a little bit more convenient for our operators.
It is convenient at Moore Park. I know.
I mean, your residents can feel the convenience, right? And we try to do that. There are a couple other locations that are like that, what we call small little storage sites, that we do those things towards. They're just seasonal activities. It's not where we store those long term.
When this dome, if this dome is built and finished, will we then eliminate the Moore Park site?
I believe we can safely eliminate that, yes.
I mean, I like the convenience of that, but as you know, we just paved everything down there. It's beautiful, and to have
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
5-ton
with
trucks up and down there, that's
I think
really
with
beat it up
the new
to begin
fourth
with.
division coming online, which has an option to store
right,
like a comparable
right,
amount of salt
right.
undercover.
Undercover there? Are we
They
planning
have
that?
they have a bin similar to other divisional
Yeah, that's good.
bins.
That's
So
good. Well, that settles the
that settles the
yeah,
question
right,
there
right,
on
right.
that issue. So certainly we could remove the salt from Moore Park as a loading location. I think that to the other councilwoman's question regarding the county's facility, I'll note that our structural costs are
Comparable.
They're comparable. So the building itself is, I think our estimate is 1.7 million, and if it's comparable size to the county's, then we are aligned. I don't know what this county's site costs were, but if they were building on a vacant flat piece of property, their site costs would likely be very low.
Yeah, so if we were to find another location, say for instance, a new Public Works division up on, Matthews, we still would have to demo that, right? I mean, or we could just let it sit there. I
Sawmill
guess.
Road?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because
Right.
whatever would be stored at the fourth division is not going to be significant to store all the city's salt for the summer months. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, if we were to build the same structure up at the fourth division.
well, I mean, the fourth division is currently under construction, so we can't, that's not even plausible.
Well, I mean, not yet, but if we had a space up there to build it next year or
It
whatever.
was, the site would be insignificant to build a facility of that size.
Oh, it would be?
Yeah, we're maxed out on space at Fourth. Yeah.
Okay.
Part of that is also because that's going to have fueling operations as well.
Yeah, right.
That's what it's just not.
Yeah, I don't
it's
necessarily
not
want to
a
entertain
large
that. I'm just
site,
using it as an example. Like, if we found a perfect spot elsewhere, would we still be required to knock that dome down or no?
I mean, I would recommend it. It would
Yeah.
be a safety
Oh, yeah,
hazard.
sure,
Yeah,
right,
it would be a
right,
safety,
right, right,
for safety reasons, I would recommend it. And we'd want to repurpose that property.
I didn't realize there was electric and ventilation in there. I thought it was just a big concrete.
Well,
dome.
there hasn't been for a while because of the corrosion
Because
to
with
all the
sulfur
electrical
builds up.
components.
I guess, yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. Is it dangerous to not have ventilation to the operator?
Our guys I think don't stay in there long, but
right.
but it's an enclosed space, less the holes, and so it is an unsafe condition. That's why we're doing this project and prioritizing it.
Right. Okay, well, at least we figured out where the big cost difference was between county facility that the councilwoman was talking about and this facility. I mean, I'll take your lead on this, councilwoman, so thanks for being here. I appreciate the
Can I
facts.
just make one
Sure,
other
sure.
comment about the budget, just to clarify that this is being funded with bond and capital funds and not the operating budget. I think if there was any indirect effect on the operating budget, it would be
That's
the
a good
cost
point.
the cost to the risk that I think Director was about to get into, that if we don't have this storage capacity, our salt operations are going to be at the mercy of deliveries from our carriers, and that carries its own risk, but potentially cost risks as well. It's hard to give a detailed breakdown of what that hit would be to the operating
Yeah,
budget,
so-
but
so
just
this
want
is-
to highlight
yeah, this-
the distinction
Right.
there.
The entirety of this is bond money?
I would have to check with the specific sources, but they're all it's capital
It's all
funded.
capital funded.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, I believe it is all bond. I don't know, Pete.
There's a trust fund.
That's
as
right.
well.
Yeah, we do have a special revenue fund that's paying for some of it, but for the most part, it is bond. It's not out of the operating budget.
Right, so, interrogatory for anybody that can answer this, I really don't know, but so that would if for some reason we were not to build this thing, it would go back into the capital budget. These monies.
Correct.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilwoman Gross.
I appreciate the detailed questions about like kind of how it affects operations, because I think that's important consideration. We definitely don't want to damage operations, but so if you were to demolish, right? Maybe you covered this and I just wasn't quite following. Where does the salt go during the project?
In this particular instance, our operational protocol is we will draw down salt at the dome to the greatest extent possible, and we will temporarily store it at our other locations.
Which is?
The 1st Division, 2nd Division, 4th Division, Construction Division, and we will deplete our stores to the greatest extent possible in the months of February and March. So we'll be mindful of the weather, but we will deplete the store as much as possible. We will store in those other locations.
Okay.
And just adding to just to add some context too, we bid this project with the express intention and requirement to complete construction in the warm months.
Okay.
So there is a tight timeline associated with this, so we won't, ideally we won't be down.
Was this project considered in the $1 million, God, I can't remember the consultants that we paid $1 million to 10 years ago to do our facilities plan? Remember that? And I objected at the time because the scope for the consultants excluded the city-owned strip district facilities. And then they refused to give us the completed plan. So I'm not sure if we ever got the completed plan or not. So is this project when we were asked to vote for $1 million to consultants to do a facilities plan, it was like, well, we don't even know where all our facilities are. There's like 300 city facilities, and we should inventory them, which is smart, right? And it was said here at the table, like, well, we might have a warehouse that's like half full. Then we have, another warehouse that's over full, and we need to look and see kind of how we're managing each of our facilities. So is this project called for in that $1 million consultant facility plan?
I would have to check. You're referring to the 2016 report?
I believe I am.
I would have to double check. However, we have actually more recent from 2019 structural assessment of all the domes. That is
just salt domes.
Correct.
Separate from like baseball dugouts and
Correct.
city county building.
Yeah.
and-
So we have a more recent structural assessment that's guiding this project and the scope.
Can you just send my office links to both of those so we can kind of compare and contrast? I mean, I don't need them immediately, but yeah, that would be helpful. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay, I'm open to the colleagues who represent this area and are most directly impacted by the project. But again, I will throw in one more anecdote, right? That is just kind of like, how do we make these decisions? I've had this conversation, not with DPW, but with DOMI before. When some of you may have noticed it was made the news, we waited 7 years for a set of steps to be replaced in my district because it was concrete, precast, and the price kept going up. So it was like a $250,000 set of steps. And then it was a $500,000 set of steps. And they're like, well, you're not in this year's scope, and we have to add to the budget, and now you have to wait. And so they're open now, thank you, thank God. But I think we should really ask ourselves, and I'm not sure which way, engineers or capital budget considerations would come down, but by contrast, I had a much smaller set of steps that fell down, and we got them replaced in a week. 1 week. Because they were wooden. And our carpentry department said, oh yeah, we'll go out tomorrow, and it took them 1 day to build it. And it was just completely mind-altering. And so, sometimes we should ask ourselves, right? And I think I even did ask the department, like, well, why not do the steps that have been closed now for 2 years or 3 years, whatever it was at the time? Why can't we just build them out of wood? And well, because wood doesn't last very long. And concrete's supposed to last 60, 70 years. But should we really spend $1 million for a set of steps that lasts 70 years? Like should that just be assumed? Or maybe sometimes should we say like, or do we build the cheaper thing that lasts 20 years? Which will be perfectly serviceable, and then you'll have steps for that whole 7 years you didn't have them, because we can build them quickly. So that's a lesson that was hard to learn. So I think sometimes we should question kind of the assumptions of these projects when they have big price tags. So that's part of our job here. So I'll just leave it there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilperson Charland.
Yes. Thank you guys for being here. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right. So, what is the cost of doing repairs on this facility instead of demoing it and building a new one? What do we have? Can we ballpark what a cost would be there?
I mean, I haven't seen an assessment for estimating what that would be, but given the degree of deterioration and corrosion, it's not, I'm trying to think of like a comparable masonry repair job that might be $100,000, but you have specific cracks that you're repairing and the overall integrity of the structure isn't in question, which isn't the case here. I think part of why, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think what we conventionally think of when we think of masonry repairs applies to this structure. It's just it's a dome that's failing, and there's not a quick or easy fix to it other than to tear it down and build something better.
So the other question I have is like, what is the cost of not doing this year? Is it?
It's hard to say when the thing will completely fail because we just don't know. But it's we're looking at a structure that is in critical condition, and so the cost is that it's hard to estimate the entire operating effect of that facility no longer being available, but it's significant. We don't have an alternative in our snow operations that can absorb the tonnage. I think it's 16,000 tons?
Well, that's the total of the inventory. The
Yeah.
total current, what the current structure holds is about 5,000 tons.
Right. So we don't have an alternative to absorb that hit. So when there's both the risks associated with the safety of the dome itself, but then there's also the risks to the operation, which is a much broader sweeping effect. It's hard to quantify what that is, but we can't afford. We don't have an alternative to operate our snow ops without this facility.
Yeah, I guess it's a tough sell for us with that $6 million price tag. When you think about like other projects and scale, like the 4th Division is going to end up being $8 million, maybe $10 million, maybe something in that range, right? And we're talking $6 million for a dome to put salt. It's like it seems like a lot to us, but I do understand like if we don't do it, we're kind of rolling the dice on maybe we wouldn't be able to do snow operations in South Pittsburgh, and we'd be even more unhappy about that. So I don't know, it's a tough for us to kind of weigh that, I think, just to try to make that decision, especially in this year when we're trying to find every penny we can. I know that you guys are well aware of that too. So this is not an easy decision just with the scale of it. So I do appreciate you guys being able to be here and answer questions. And I apologize that we should have probably caught this a week ago when we voted this through, and then afterwards we're kind of asking a couple questions about it. So we probably should have held it then. So that's really all I've got. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here, but thank you for being here.
Councilmember Warwick.
Just one quick question just about overall, like the process. And I feel like I've asked this before in regard to other things. So when we embark on big projects like this, right? Like, and we go out to bid, and I feel like the answer is yes. Do we put caps on, like, this is the most that we are open to paying for project X, and then go out to bid with that sort of cap? And then if we get no bids, if people come back and are like, nah, it's going to cost you, you know, 3 times more than that, then we make a decision about whether or not to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it is, to some extent, it's a case by case. It's by each project. We certainly, at the outset of a project, once we've determined that, you know, there is a need that has merit, there's a scope that has merit, we try to distill that scope down to what is critical and absolutely necessary for this project and come up with a rough order of magnitude of what we think it will cost. Obviously, market conditions are one thing we can't control. We control the design process as best we can, but there are other influences that might affect scope or change scope that will affect the overall price tag too. So we can, I guess, you know, I don't have maybe the most satisfying answer other than we certainly try to identify a rough order of magnitude of costs as early as possible with that distilled, you know, critical scope in mind and stick to that scope as best we can control.
I wonder, though, if it's just so that we don't end up in the situation where we are now, where you all have done all this work, right? You've gone out to bed, like, you know, lots of people have put lots of effort into this at this point. So this is like a bad point to sort of say, oh, you know, let's not do it. I don't know, is there, I mean, and this would obviously be a question for Domi and, you know, and other, you know, any other departments doing sort of large-scale projects, would it be worth having like I mean, it wouldn't be a vote necessarily, but just kind of like some way to kind of give council members a heads up that like we are thinking about embarking on project X and it is likely to cost this amount. You know what I mean? Because then maybe at that point in time, then people can be like, whoa, a $6 million salt dome, let's, you know, that's concerning, and then sort of make the decision there about whether or not to move forward. Is that something that could happen in the process? I mean,
I'm certainly.
Like through the committee process,
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess what I would offer back is, you know, we certainly have major milestones through design, as well as permitting, where we are getting closer and closer to, you know, to bidding a construction project, and we have as we move through that process, you know, it's essentially a funnel where we're getting more clarity on the details of a project, and therefore more clarity on what we think the costs will be. And so at those major milestones, I'm always happy to share with council, you know, with Director McDevitt, you know, where we stand with any given project. But I think those are the appropriate, you know, when we get, it happens in steps. So, you know, when we get a significant update on a project, that's the time to have a discussion if it's sought.
And I think I will add to that, you know, the current capital budget process allows for that discourse to happen, right? I mean, we have to request funds to do design work, professional services, just to entertain it. So we have to come to the table there with our kind of quote unquote best guess of what we think this cost is and what this scope is, even though there's a lot of uncertainty there, and that costs are going to change as we go through the design process. So certainly there's an opportunity there. And the question in terms of what you fund for design or contemplate, I mean, I think there's other ways to do that work that could be more substantial, but I think they would require changes to the current capital budget process. Happy to discuss those offline with anyone that would be interested in what my thoughts are on that, but I just think the current process is a little overburdened at one particular point in time, when it could be more thoughtful to when council members get requests from the public to do something with their facility that might not necessarily align with the capital budget process. So,
and the last thing I'll add to Chris's point, you know, and this is more of an offline discussion as well that kind of goes hand in hand with that, but we are trying to align our internal processes with what we think that the capital budget process should be, so that to allow for these discussions at the appropriate time and not put as much pressure on a narrow timeline throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just as sort of a comparison, for example, with the Lewis Playground, which is of course a project that I'm very focus, right, that I've been thinking a lot about, right? But throughout, I was able, at the very beginning to be like, okay, how much is this going to cost? So I had an idea so that, when it comes here, it's a known, right? And it's not like, what? That's so expensive. Like, why is it so? At least me as the council member can explain. Well, I understand this is why it's so expensive. This is why. I think that would be helpful, just because and again, it is just like that kind of you're like Salt Dome for $6 million, and that initial reaction, if that could have happened before all of this work was done. And then, all these questions about location and all of that, which are now, of course, very difficult now that, everything's sort of teed up to start. I don't know, maybe that's a conversation for the incoming administration or down the road. I am going to support today just because, this is, I am not an engineer and I'm not an expert in these things, and I don't want to sort of supersede that, but at any rate, I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks. I just wanted to piggyback off of that, and then I know Councilman Coghill has another comment or question. Just a question, though. I know that you hold the capital program facilities meetings regularly.
Well, we don't hold those. OMB holds those.
OMB holds them, but you often present.
Yes.
Very, significantly. You take a big piece of that. And I'm just thinking out loud as if it would be worthwhile to have a similar presentation for council members. Either we attend that, or I know one council member is always invited, but if we attend that, or there's a separate one, so council members are getting the exact same information as what especially Public Works and others who have items to present at that meeting. But let me ask, would that get to the question we're asking today? Is that only the updates to existing already funded projects, and it's demonstrating what work has happened or where we are in the process, or do projects prior to funding allocations in the budget, are they presented on as well?
So when I've been attending those meetings, I typically present on what has recently been completed and then what the next projects that are hitting major milestones will be. I haven't presented in those meetings on potential projects that have yet to receive funding.
Got it. So it's not exactly solving for this. I still think it's probably a good idea to hold quarterly meetings similar to that for council members, so we're all kept in the loop, even if majority of projects happening are other council members' districts. At that point, we can have that discussion to see how they're going and meet, it's not just when it's hitting the table, it's there too. Okay. Just wanted to ask, I know Councilman Coghill had a question first, and then Council President.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just from a layman's point of view, I drive by there, I think, let's mix up a couple bags of mortar, have to throw it in the cracks, put a quick paint job on this and be done. But I want to let you know that I do trust your judgment. I do trust your judgment that it's failing, whether it's unsafe or not right now, but eventually we've got to get a new Salt Dome. I understand that. So I wanted to ask you, so the new structure is design's already made. Right?
Correct.
Is it 4 sides? Is it a dome, or is it square, or what?
It's square. It looks like a barn. I would call it a barn.
Right. Yeah, I've seen those. I think similar ones built. Is there going to be office space in there? Somewhere?
There will be a break room for drivers and heavy equipment operators.
Which we
too.
don't have right now. Because
Correct.
I see them sitting in their vehicles in the dead of winter and just waiting for the dump trucks to come to fill up. So they will have a space.
Yeah, and they'll have a restroom. It'll be heated.
Restroom.
Yes.
They don't even have a restroom right now.
Yeah, they have a porta-john.
Porta-john, right.
So when they have a 12-hour shift, they get to go and use the porta-john.
That's good to know that, for this facility, at least we're going to have, it's going to be, more
human.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. Because I know they sit in the trucks because there's nowhere to go. They don't want to go inside the Salt Dome. I just want to make clear, and I understand this is going to be 100% union builders.
I know we have prevailing wage requirements in all of our capital projects. Whether there's a specific requirement for unions, I'd have to.
That's okay. There's prevailing wage here, and I did speak to the union, so I know that they're scheduled, or at least to do, most of the job, if not all of it. So I just wanted to verify that. So again, I'll follow the councilwoman's lead on this. My hope is that we build it. It is a hefty price tag, but I'm glad that you're here today to let us know exactly. $4 million of that was really coming in the demo and the actual EPA regulations or whatever else goes along with that. So at least I leave here today not feeling like we're being gouged for the actual structure itself. So, and I'm glad to hear that we have a space there for whoever's the operator is there waiting for the trucks to come in to fill up, that they can go and, have a warm spot with a indoor plumbing and facility. So, okay, that's it for me. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Council President Lavelle.
Sure, just a clarity question. I'll be willing to support it today. We've actually been putting money aside for this since 2020, I believe, every year within our capital budget. Except for 1 year was the Parks Trust Fund, but every other year, I believe since then, we've been slowly putting money aside for this. The design is completed. Has it been bid yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The
So
cost
the-
that you
so
receive
this
is the
all
lowest
in.
responsibility. This is all in.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Cale Smith.
Thank you. You know, I mean, the more the conversation went on, the more frustrated I actually am. The fact that other council members know the projects that were happening in my district, and yet I did not. I guess because you all sit on a capital budget, the task force or committee, that you know those projects. But it would have been nice had, we had some conversations about this. And the fact that it's union work, that's great, but that's not what's going to make my determination. What's going to make my determination is whether or not we can afford this right now. And the fact of the matter is, the fact that you're saying that salt or snow removal will be affected southwest Pittsburgh if we don't do it, you could really store salt under a tarp. So, I mean, it's almost misleading to the public to say that without this, we won't have snow removal. I remember back when they used to take salt right off the truck and just shovel it onto the road. So I think when you're talking about that, I think that there's ways that they could really do this if you really wanted to. And so it doesn't make me want to move this. It doesn't make me want to move this. It makes me say, this is why we are where we are with this budget. Because we spend money without having all the information, without having clear ideas of what it really does cost, and what we really, in the questions that we get here, we don't question it. We just, okay, you're an expert, we know. But you have a job to do, and I understand that. And the administration might want this project to go through. I understand that too. And I understand that there might be a need for it. I don't understand that $6 million when we're in a budget crunch is so important for salt that we can't say, that we're going to say that we can't even address. I don't even know that this location is the best location for this. If we're going to do something like this, we should probably have done some assessment and evaluation of whether or not this is even the proper location. Because if you put it on West Carson Street, you'd have much quicker access for 3 different divisions, not just, 1 or 2. But you could get other divisions there. So I'm just saying, I just think that there's a lot of things that should have been looked into, and had it been part of the conversations, I might have been able to address some of that and to bring some of this up. But I understand that there's a big issue. I'd like to hold it for 1 more week is what I'd like to do, just until we get some. What I'd like from you is the scope of the work. I'd like some itemized breakdown of the cost. I'd like to know if you'd looked into other facilities or other locations, and where else you would store the salt in the meantime, in the interim, if this doesn't go through. Because you have a lot of places where you could store salt, other than just these facilities that are intended right now, especially because you can just store them with tarp over them. So, and you have done that in the past in other I believe in Councilman Cogill's district. So, I mean, it's not that I don't want to see this project go through, but it's the cost. And it's the time that we are in such a budget crunch that we need to be critical and really looking at every dime here. We owe that much to the public. And so, for me, I'd like to at least hold it for 1 week. Motion to hold 1 week.
Second.
Thank you.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of a 1-week hold, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Bill 2574 will be held for 1 week.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That moves us back down to Land Use and Economic Development Committee, chaired by Councilman Wilson.
Deferred paper, Bill 2526, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Office of Management and Budget to enter into an agreement or agreements with Paramount Pursuits LLC for technical assistance services to nonprofits awarded neighborhood economic development grants in need of capacity building for a sum not to exceed $41,000 for the payment of the cost thereof.
Motion to hold 1 week.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2526 being held for a week, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative, or bill will be held 1 week. Bill 2296.
Bill 2296, resolution providing for the designation as a historic site under Title 11 of the Code of Ordinances, that certain site known as Westinghouse Park, located at 320 North Mertland Street in the Point Breeze neighborhood, 14th Ward, City of Pittsburgh. The owner of the property supports the nomination, and there is no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second, brief discussion.
Discussion, Councilman Mosley.
Yeah, I just want to thank the Westinghouse Legacy Project. I know Mr. David Bear tried to testify. Looked like there was some technical issues, but they've done, a fantastic job educating the community. I live a block from the site, about all of the amazing things that George Westinghouse did, and his role as an entrepreneur, as well as a scientific innovator, and really highlighting all of the amazing things, that happened at the site that was known as Solitude, which was his estate, and now what is known as North Point Breeze, and also the period of time that Nikola Tesla spent there, basically, creating modern electricity with Mr. George Westinghouse. So, I'm really excited that the work that they've done over the years is finally coming to fruition, and people, for generations will be reminded of the amazing work of George Westinghouse, as well as the innovative things that he did with, legends like Nikola Tesla. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councilwoman Gross.
Super cool. Thank you for telling us all that. I literally was taking notes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I can't tell who's Councilperson Charland.
Yes, I guess I'm probably asking for interrogatory here, but so we are the owner of this property and we're making it historic. Why are we doing that? Is there a tax credit that's available to us or something? Is there a benefit for us, or are we just locking this park in kind of amber in the way that it is?
As we should.
That's actually a great question. My understanding is, I think for several reasons. One, the site, hadn't been, protected as a historic site, but also to create the platform, to educate the public about the historic significance, of the site. That, most people just know it as Westinghouse Park and not as the site formerly known as Solitude. And not only that George Westinghouse lived there, but his laboratory was there, and the work that he did with folks like Nikola Tesla, and the work that they did around the 1896 World's Fair, which, introduced, modern electricity to the world, in that work.
So I am fully supportive of the making sure that people are aware of the significance of the park. But the park is already protected by nature of being park in the zoning code. When we make things that we own historic, we now can't have them updated and modernized with the needs of a city as we grow. This is kind of the same problem that we ran into, I believe, in the north side with, wanting to update a basketball court. I'm just curious, like, what are we trying to accomplish by making this historic? I'm always kind of skeptical of historic designations, without kind of a reason why we want to do that.
Councilperson, there is also Katie Reed from Department of City Planning. If you would wish to bring.
Yes, yeah, I'd be happy to. If
Okay.
Again, I don't want to criticize a project in the councilman's district, but
Hi, Katie Reed from Department of City Planning. So a couple things. First of all, Westinghouse Park is noteworthy for a variety of reasons. One of them is its archaeological potential. So we already, there was a phase 1 study done there where they looked at sort of what details were left from Solitude because, there's no extant structures, and decided to go on and try to do a further study, which I believe is not happening yet, but is out there, and close to happening. I can't speak to the details of that, but so that's one thing. So Westinghouse Park is a little different than some of our other parks. To reference the idea of parks becoming historic landmarks, we do have a variety of parks that are historic landmarks, and there is some concern about what is contributing and what isn't contributing in a park. And just because the park is designated doesn't mean that every single thing has to stay there forever and ever. And it doesn't even mean that the things that are listed as contributing have to stay there forever. It just means that those things need to be considered and they need to go to the Historic Review Commission. So for instance, the Allegheny Commons Park has its own design guidelines, which basically go through and talk about what is contributing and what's not. So something like a very small change to the aviary wouldn't be reviewed by the Historic Review Commission because it's a minor change to something that's not deemed contributing. So if that's something that you're interested in pursuing for other parks, that's definitely something we can do. They can be produced pretty easily. Design guidelines, the ones for Allegheny Commons, are like a page long, and then adopted by the Historic Review Commission. And that's a good way to control what is and what isn't being protected, especially in these resources that are very substantial.
Yeah, I mean, I just know that, like, in Allegheny Commons, there was a disagreement about the orientation of a basketball court. And I just don't like the idea of us, you know, again, freezing our parks in amber and saying this is how they have to be. You know, now we design our parks with ADA guidelines, and we didn't used to do that. And, you know, what is the next thing that we want to design our parks with that, you know, if we freeze it in amber here, that we cannot, you know, keep up with what 2050 looks like, or whatever, you know, whatever we're doing in the future here. I believe this park also didn't used to have a a train station underneath the Westinghouse estate. Am I wrong about that?
There were tunnels, tunnels that I believe were leading
cool.
over to the, and I think just from cursory review of the archaeological report, there are remains of those, and that's part of the.
Like that's super cool. But you know, and I don't want to like dismiss the historic value of the park. I just don't see the value in making something historic that is already protected by virtue of being a park, which is pretty protected in our zoning code.
Sure, as long as it wasn't rezoned, I guess,
Yeah.
which is something that I suppose could happen. I think that, you know, preservation is sort of progressing in the world, and I think everyone, including us, is trying to take a more broad look at it, right? ADA accessibility is something that needs to happen. Right?
Sure.
I don't think the goal of the Historic Review Commission or staff or anyone really is to freeze these things in time. And I can't speak specifically to the basketball court because I wasn't involved in that process. But you know, things that are less historically vital or things that are really important, like access, are going to be prioritized, I think, in a way that they maybe haven't been like nationally before, just because preservation is sort of changing its ethos. We're not trying to protect things in amber, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess I'm using ADA as just an example of like this was not a requirement that we necessarily built all of our parks with in a time in the past. And if we would have made those requirements, if we would make something historic that would not allow us to build ADA, then, you know, we'd be in trouble. I don't want us to do that now for whatever the new thing might be, you know, the new equity, you know, accessibility kind of whatever it might be in 2075. And we said, no, this is historic now because we think it's historically significant. It is historically significant. No disagreement there. It's just, you know, I do worry that we lock ourselves in, you know, again with this historic designation. So if there, I'm not really hearing like a major benefit, you know, and I don't think there's a major concern here. I'm willing to be convinced, but I don't think I'm going to vote for this today.
Okay. Yeah, there are, just to point out, there are a number of parks that are already historically designated within this city. Shenley Park was just recently designated. Sure. Mellon Park is designated, as are others. So.
Yeah, I understand that. I don't quite understand why they are either. So.
All right. Well, we can talk about that. Give you some information offline at some point if that's helpful.
Sure. Yep. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. For their first round, I think Councilwoman Gross, and then we'll got Councilman Mosley second, and Councilman Wilson.
Maybe I already had first round, because I remember saying how
Sorry.
excited I was, so I'm excited
Yeah,
again.
okay.
So I just want to affirm that I'm fully supportive of historically preserving even city-owned assets. I don't think that without it, they are protected. We've certainly seen things demolished in parks, like the golf club in Shenley Park, just because like some, private golf club wanted a different facility, and this council voted to approve that. So I think this does add a layer that will allow for public input if those questions of change come up. And if we don't put the historic protections in place, then there is no guarantee for public input on things that are important to the public. And because I think there should be public input on things that are important to the public, and this is a super cool one that is important to the public, I'm fully supportive today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go down the line. Councilman Wilson, down to Councilwoman Kelsmith.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I did just want to recognize that I have one historic. Maybe there's more, but I'm fully aware of one that is historic, because anytime we want to change a playground, or like the basketball court was brought up, but the playground sticks out to me because I know that process did take a year and a half longer than if it wasn't historic designated. So I think just the public and and the community just have to be ready for that. So I don't see it as a extreme downside. I think it's just I think it's more of a conversation of like maybe there could be an expedited process to when we're in that situation, or better coordination with like DPW with this certain things, because I don't think DPW is they're not here, but they do a great job. But I'm not sure they're used to that. Like I have the first historically designated. I have the first playground that was changed over in a historically designated park. That's what they told me. So they were kind of unaware of that process. So that there were some points in trying to get to construction that were difficult. So I think people just have to be ready for it. And I definitely understand why the park is historically designated. And I do think it's important, but there's always barriers to everything. And for this, there are definitely more rules that come with it. So.
Can I say one thing? Am I allowed to speak, or is that not a thing? Okay, sorry. The Public Art and Civic Design Commission does review anything located on city property. So if things went to the Historic Review Commission, they wouldn't go to the Public Art and Civic Design Commission. But it's just worth noting that on city property, they'll have to go to a border commission anyways. It just would be the Historic Review Commission instead of the Public Art and Civic Design. Even if a park isn't historic, changes go to the Public Art and Civic Design Commission.
I'm sorry, you're saying that even if it wasn't historically designated, the DPW would go?
It would have to go through the Public Art and Civic Design Commission process, which is another commission through city planning that we're all publicly owned, and so all, parks projects all go through PACD.
So I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble here, but I think that's a process that maybe DPW isn't used to, regardless.
They do bring their projects to us. I think it's always a learning process, and we're all trying to get better.
Yeah, just coming here in 2020, there were definitely a lot of things I learned, and I think there has been some more engagement recently. I'm just saying, historically, I think there have been the lack of engaging in that process. So I'm not sure what your experience has been, but I'm just talking about my experience. So thanks.
Thank you, Councilman Mosley.
Yeah, I appreciate the point that was raised around the potential challenges that the designation, can create. I do know that there is simultaneously a process to actually make some improvements to Westinghouse Park. So I'll look into, how the designation may impact that. But the folks who have really pushed for the designation are also the folks who have been actively involved in the efforts to make improvements, at the site and do some updates at Westinghouse Park. And I did also just wanted to mention, for the record, that the only remaining part of Solitude are the underground tunnels that went from the house to his laboratories, and the train station is a little bit further down on Jonathan Street, and that kind of platform actually still remains, but it's not actually part of the park. So I just wanted to clarify that as well, and I'm happy to look into how the efforts to make improvements that the folks who've been adamantly in support of the historic designation, and how those two efforts can work in concert with each other and not in conflict with one another.
Councilman Coghill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I know you're a fan of history, American history, especially when it relates to Pittsburgh. So am I. And another fun fact about George Westinghouse is he invented the air brakes, which over 100 years ago, well over 100 years ago. Technology has not changed. It still remains the same. It stops locomotives and trains. So, right. And I know your father actually worked for Westinghouse, and my Lisa worked for Westinghouse. So we all have some sort of connection to Westinghouse. So I love the idea that we're preserving or, designating this area. So I just wanted to add that. But, Katie, what I really want to talk to you about is, I think I grabbed you last time we were here. Who is my contact with the Historic Review Commission right now?
Oh, with the Historic Review Commission, I think you asked me about Preservation Pittsburgh, and I sent you the contact for Preservation Pittsburgh, who's now leading things up there.
Well, let me explain to you why I'm asking, right? I think we went over this, but it was a while ago, and I think you gave me your number and I lost it, so I apologize for that. I gave some very important documents of my own home to Matthew Falcone. Who was Matthew Falcone with?
Matthew Falcone is with Preservation Pittsburgh.
Preservation
And so
Pittsburgh.
he's with them, but the leadership role has been passed from him to someone else, but he's still readily available.
Oh, Matthew Falcone's still readily available? Okay.
Yeah, I can put you in touch with him.
I have two numbers on him.
I'll track him down for you.
I really have been trying to get a hold of him. Okay. And I was looking forward to today because I was hoping you were going to be here because you're the one, my only link I feel to that. And very important documents for me. So I need to know who I can contact.
I still have your number, and I will get you.
Can we do it today? Can you give me a number today? I mean, because I've given him this. It's funny because when there's a project and historic designation might get in the way of a project, which happens. Okay, it becomes a political football, believe it or not. And it seems like it lickety split. Where things designated. I've given Matthew these papers of my very important documents of my own home over a year ago, well over a year ago, and I thought he told me he moved on, or somebody told me
he did. He's no longer the sort of the head of the organization, but he's still involved, and I will get you in touch.
Okay, I'd like to follow through with what I originally asked. Again, it's been a year and a half, and when I get frustrated when I see historic designations get the rush on because it's a political football sometimes. And, here I am with these documents out there. It's been over a year. I haven't heard from Matthew. I've got other questions for him. So I need to contact. I need somebody to call today. Can we do that?
I will find you the correct number.
I appreciate that, Katie. Thank you so much. That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Was there an additional comment from Councilperson Charland? No. It's Councilwoman Cale Smith.
I did the second round, but I didn't get first round. Anyway,
Apologies.
I just want to say, it's okay. No, I know it's difficult, doing the meetings. I just want to say I actually will support this because it's the councilman's district, and I try to defer to the council member that represents the district when I place my votes, as long as it's, nothing that's going to affect our area or the city as a whole. But I want to say that I think that we really should have looked at all the parks and tried to put, there's so many things fascinating that happened in a lot of our parks and this history behind them. I would like to see markers that, if we could ever afford that, or if somebody could support them, if somebody could maybe sponsor them. But like Oakwood Park has a great history. It was a amusement park with a trolley station and a water reservoir. The wall is still there, and it's huge. It's a huge wall, and everybody always asks, what's that wall? It's actually a big thing on Reddit, people asking about it. So I'd like to see, and we already know Coal Hill and, Mount Washington some of the other parks across the city, but I just would like to see something in general, like something for all of them, that we work on that if we ever get the opportunity to do that.
That would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
We'd love to do
Yeah.
that as well.
But I'm thinking maybe that's something Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy can sponsor or help work on, because it really should be something that's in every park. Because I remember when Shenley Park not only had the other things that people were talking about, but I grew up in Oakland on Fifth Avenue, and we used to go to Shenley Park to ride horses. And so I remember when there were horse stables there. So, I mean, there's a lot of history in a lot of our parks, and I'd like to see some of that just never forgotten and remember what they could have been and what they were. So, thank you. That's it for me. Thank you.
Further discussion?
I think I better quit telling stories about when I was young, because it's really aging me here.
You used to ride horses then?
All those in favor of
can't
Bill
still ride horses.
2296, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
One no. So noted. Affirmative recommendation. Thank you very much. New papers, Bill 2565.
Thank you for your work.
Hey, Katie?
Bill 2565, ordinance amending and supplementing the City Code of Title VII Business Licensing, Article 3, Sales Businesses, Chapter 719, Vendors and Peddlers, to include Virginia Avenue between Wyoming Street and Maple Terrace Avenue.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Discussion?
just brief discussion. This is a request of the business owners along the area. That's it. Thank you.
Sorry, what?
It's at the request of the business owners on that street. So, that's it.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2565, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2584.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of permits licensing and inspection for the issuance of a warrant in favor of the Community College of Allegheny County to provide a 5-day lead dust sampling technician and lead risk assessor course for the code enforcement unit supervisors, cost not to exceed $8,750.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2584, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2585.
Resolution amending Resolution 60 of 2013, providing for the implementation of a residential permit parking program Area P in the Uptown and Bluff neighborhoods to expand the streets pursuant to Pittsburgh Code, Chapter 549.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2585, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2588.
Ordinance amending the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title V, Traffic, Article 8, Parking, Chapter 550, Mobility Enhancement District, to remove the pilot sunset date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2588, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to Innovation, Performance, Asset Management, and Technology Committee, chaired by Councilwoman Gross.
Bill 2558, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into an agreement or agreements or amendments thereto with DQE Communications for circuits for direct connection to GCP Google Cloud at a cost not to exceed $51,279 over 1 year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2558, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2559.
Resolution amending Resolution 340 of 2025, authorizing the mayor and directors of the Departments of Innovation and Performance, excuse me, Finance and Public Safety to enter into an amended agreement and amendments thereto with B3 Solutions, Inc. for further provision of software maintenance and support services, development of critical applications, and possible transition guidance by extending the contract by 18 months until June 30 of 2027 at no additional cost to the city. The total cost not to exceed of the contract will be $2,141,321 over a period not to exceed 9 years and 6 months.
Second.
Discussion?
I'd like to bring up people from the Department of Innovation and Performance to speak to the bill, please. And Finance. Just as background, the flag here for council members is any mention of B3 Solutions, which we used to have many software, kind of hand-built systems. And oh, I'm sorry, I'm offline. That the flag here is the B3 solutions that council members have kind of been trying to disentangle the city from for the 12 years I've been here, because it was kind of I said a minute ago when my mic was off, kind of like an early internet moment where there was a local company that hand-built a lot of systems and software. And so why don't you fill us in about why we're still seeing them?
Yes, you're correct. They originally developed many of our systems for most of our departments. As a matter of fact, we had 42 different software applications that were being used. We're down from 42 to 1.
Okay.
And the one is for finance, and as Jen and Ian can identify, the finance is for collection of taxes, and we want to go through several taxing periods to do duplicate processing to verify that the new system is calculating the receipts correctly.
Okay, I understand that. We all understand the importance of redundancy. Why does this say 9 years?
I'm sorry?
Am I reading the right bill?
Right, so originally, I would guess what, 2014? About 2012,
Okay,
2014.
okay, so the original contract was a 9-year contract?
No, the original contract was a 3-year contract, and then we amended it. This is, which amendment is this? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
I know, you might want to read the language. Do you need it?
I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. What is it?
Just Council, it's 2559?
Yes, uh-huh.
So, it does say the total cost not to exceed the contract will be $2,141,000.
Yes.
$321 over a period not to exceed 9 years and 6 months.
That's correct. The 9 years will be June of 2027.
When it starts?
No, when it ends.
When it ends, okay, so that's what I was trying to describe. So
Yes.
the 9 years have started in 2016. Or no, I do my math right, 2018.
We started,
Okay,
but
we're not extending this for 9 years.
No, absolutely
Okay,
not.
that much we can all understand.
We're extending for
Okay.
18 months.
We're extending this for 18 months.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I just needed everybody to be clear
I'm sorry.
on.
That's correct.
So we're extending it for 18 months at no additional cost is the other thing.
Correct.
So this title says $0 more, but another 18 months on the term. Did I say that right?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll just step back now and let council members ask questions. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilman Coghill.
So this is software for us to collect taxes. When we took that over from Jordan, no, different.
No.
Different
So-
taxes.
Jangula,
Yes.
Finance Department
Yes,
Director.
please, Jen.
So, way long time ago, B3 actually built our current tax collection system. So, and they are like the administrators of the system. So, any kind of changes or anything that we need to make, or we're having issues, like they're the ones that actually handle any of the fixes that go on. But they're also helping to migrate data from that system into the new one and then sort of align our processes. So we need them to sort of stay online as we test the processes that we migrated from like the B3 system into the new CSS system. Some of these processes, especially the billing part, the main billing that we send out in January literally happens once a year. So for some of these functions, we have like one shot literally to test it and make sure everything is working accordingly. So, which is the reason for like an 18-month extension. They don't happen every day, and so that we can't test, make fixes, and then retest. We have very limited options and time available to do that.
Right, so essentially, this guides us as to what we're billing, who we're billing. This has nothing to do with the collection of taxes, as we hired Jordan to do for many years, but now we've taken that back.
Jordan only handled the prior year, and we took that back. We
Right.
do, so this actually is our current tax system that we bill for current year, and until, which we always did.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's the same cost, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. I think I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion?
I just want to say real quick, I really have a lot of issues with this 3B contract because it's been going on for so long. But I do trust that, one, it's no additional dollars, but I do trust Councilwoman Gross because she'd criticize you more than I did if there was something wrong. So I'm good with it. Thank you. Thank you.
We're anxious to get out of it too,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Thank
So
you.
we don't have clear access to our data
Thank you.
with using B3, so.
Thank you. And
we'd
thank you,
like that.
Councilwoman, for explaining everything. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of Bill 2559, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 2560.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into startup participation agreements with selected entities as part of the cohorts of the PGH Lab, and further authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Innovation and Performance to enter into program participation agreements with local municipal entities to allow such entities to test products and services through PGH Lab at a cost not to exceed $100,000 over 1 year.
Motion to approve brief discussion.
Second.
Second discussion?
Thank you. I appreciate you being at the table because this is a program that I have to admit I didn't get or appreciate for a few years. And it's been going on now for a while. And so I just wanted to, I'll let you get a chance. Sorry, hi. Thanks to give us a chance to just tell us a little bit about how great it is, if you wouldn't mind.
Andrew Hayhurst is our senior manager for,
Senior Manager of Innovation.
Senior Manager of Innovation.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So I
Bring
manage.
your microphones up to your mouth.
Sorry,
please.
he
Thank you.
can speak to that much better than I can.
So I'm sorry. So PGH Lab, we are entering the 10th year of PGH Lab. It started in 2016, and we're really excited. I have numbers here. So we've had 59 completed pilots over the last 10 years from 56 different companies. And the amount of projects that we've done have been incredible and really exciting. As you guys know, in the last couple of years, we have changed to become a customer first program, and we now pay participants to participate in the pilots $25,000 per pilot per company. And since that has happened, the amount of interest in PGH Lab has grown exponentially. Actually, we have had 78% more applicants to enter into PGH Lab since we've moved to this first customer approach. We're really proud of what's happening, and we want to continue.
Maybe you could give us kind of like remind us, because we do keep track of a lot of different kinds of programs and city functions. Now, I would summarize it as saying this is like a small cohort of companies, right, that you choose each year from applicants, and they get like a 1-year contract to do something that we need as a city.
Exactly.
But it's a tiny little bite of one because they're tiny little startup companies. And otherwise, in all the other RFPs and other proposals, they would never even come close to being able to do it.
Right.
Okay.
So it's between a 6 and 9 month pilot program that we do. Kind of depends on the specific projects. But yes, we give them a 6 to 9 month contract. We pay them $25,000 and this is our opportunity to really test out some innovative solutions throughout the city at like low risk. This is a low risk pilot that we can challenge, our operations to do more things. And, the risk is $25,000 of it failing versus, entering into an agreement for $2 million or something along that line. So this is, a great opportunity for us to pilot innovative solutions and support our innovative, startup ecosystem throughout the city.
Right. So so on both hands, like, well, maybe the city could do these things differently. Who can help us on a 6-month contract figure out if that would work? And so it's cheap. But then also, on the other hand, there are small companies who that's a huge contract for them.
Yes.
And that they'll get paid for 6 months. They have costs covered, can really make or break a small startup company. And we want to help them make it, not break it. So one of my favorites, because at first this was kind of like the first couple of years, I think it was very techy. And of course, it's innovation and performance. And maybe we didn't really understand or see and citizens especially couldn't see, like, there was no, like, publicly facing one of these experiments or pilots. But that one of my favorites, so I'm going to brag about it, is council members are a little sick of listening to me talk about composting and how it can divert so much of our municipal waste. IMP is literally sniggering, I think is the right word, because I talk at them about this all the time. And so we spend all this money sending garbage trucks that are getting 3 miles per gallon diesel and spewing particulate matter and poisoning the air 15 miles out to the land dump every time they fill up. So they come and pick up your garbage at your house, and when they fill up, they have to drive all the way out there, and it's the stupidest thing. And so it costs us in labor time, and it costs us in vehicle mileage, and it costs us in fuel. And if we composted citywide, some cities are cutting that tonnage down by half. So that's twice as much mileage, and you lower all your costs by half. So one of them was a biodigester, local startup company. I think we had them at rec centers, so they were diverting food waste. So I'm excited about that. Is this allocating just the funds, or have you actually chosen some of the new entities?
We've chose 4 companies.
Okay, yeah, tell us about it.
So I'll go through real quick. There's 4. So Aquatonomy is going to be partnering with EMS and River Rescue, and they are going to help. They basically have these like drones that they want to drop into the river to help with search and rescue. And as you guys know, and you've probably talked to EMS, right? Like the visibility in our rivers is not great. And so this will help them kind of expand their operations and be able to, hopefully recover evidence of what's in the river. And I mean, I know this is a sensitive topic, so I don't want to go too deep into it, but so it's really exciting trying to use technology to expand river rescue and search and evidence. We also are working with Pittsburgh Drone Services. And so I will say this year we are very technology forward. It has not always been that case. But Drone Services will be working with our sustainability team to basically look at areas in the city where insulation, like some of the insulation programs that sustainability is trying to do to help fund, lower economic houses and provide insulation for them. They're going to look at the heat loss in these buildings and see if we can provide, guide these owners of these houses into these programs that will help them insulate their homes better. Orange Peel Collective is a company that IMP is going to be working with our AI working group to kind of think about how we can demystify AI with employees of the city and how we can expand the use of AI. And then the last one is Veridian. Veridian is a company that will be helping us create a digital twin, which digital twins is like pulling in real-time data and how we can make actionable decisions based on that data. So they're going to be working with our GIS team to see if there are ways that we can use kind of their 3D mapping software to expand services that we offer to the constituents, and like whether there's like the possibility to create better maps and better insights for our constituents with their 3D rendering software.
Thank you. After this brief comment, I'm gonna open the floor, but while I still am enthusiastic about the program, I think it's one that we should continue, and it's been a great 10 years. I realize maybe we need a little oversight, 'cause some of those things are definitely red flags to some of my constituents. So maybe we'll, I'm not going to oppose these today because they do seem like there are some guardrails on them, but we may have to talk about our technology policies, which I know there is a whole committee, all of that kind of things, but we want to make sure that our public is comfortable with what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and we do have a data governance team that's working on AI policy as well as privacy and algorithm policies and things like that.
I know, and it really is good. I think the public should feel confident in what we're doing, but they can't if they don't know what we're doing. So
fair.
I'll stop there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Warwick.
Do we pitch the ideas, the things that we need, and then they come up with or do they come to us with ideas?
We pitch, we basically say these are the categories that we're interested in.
Okay.
And for the most part, those have kind of stayed the same. They've been sustainability, process optimization, And this year we did add, AI. And so that's where we invited companies to kind of pitch ideas for us on those different categories. And then we work with the departments and operations to find a champion within departments to line them up and try and build out this pilot program.
Okay, well, I'm going to pitch you an idea.
Yeah.
That is an intergovernmental services portal where it's like, and it would include all the nonprofits as well. So whatever you need, you know what I mean? So that rather than digging through the, or, we just have people who call the office and it's not something that the city does. And so we look and direct them, but it would be nice to have, all of our city governments, and we have so many websites and sometimes it's old and whatever, it would be wonderful to have one kind of collaborative location for services in general that then directed you where you needed to go.
Yeah, that would be great.
And even had like blurbs of sort of brief and like these, whether you need food or you need childcare or you're a senior or you need tax help or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is some work to our website that we could probably build some of that stuff into it, but I think that's a great idea.
Thanks. Councilman Coghill.
Thank you. That's interesting. So when we sign up for a pilot program at $25,000, that's just like their fee. Did they bring their own equipment and necessary things to do the job?
It depends on the specific project, right? And most of the time, yes, they are using that $25,000 to procure whatever they need.
It's theirs to use. If they have to buy a drone, they'll do.
Exactly.
They could use it for salary drone. They could.
Yes.
At their discretion.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. So, what really caught my ear was
their discretion, but we define what the project is with them. So we create a statement of work. So it's not.
And if they need the tools to complete the project or go at the path that we direct them to go, they could use that money to purchase whatever they need.
Exactly.
Okay, understood. What really caught my ear was what you said about the rivers. Okay, I have good friends from EMS that are on the scuba team. And there is actually zero visibility when you're in the river. I don't know if you ever swam in the river. I used to as a kid all the time. And, you got maybe a foot, right?
Yeah.
And when they're, unfortunately, down there searching for a body or a vessel or something like that, they're feeling. That's all they're doing, just feeling. So this technology that we're going to enter into with this particular startup does what now to help them?
So imagine
we go underwater.
It goes underwater.
The drone goes underwater.
Yes.
Okay.
And it will use. I haven't gotten into the details on the technology, but I imagine it's. We've been joking. I just bought a robot vacuum, right? And so I think it's like that. It will use LiDAR sensors to reach out and map.
We'll tell them
what's
whatever
below.
they're looking for. Basically, it can go. It's submerge.
Yes.
That's amazing in its own right to me. I didn't know drones could go underwater, but I guess with technology, and then they could identify whatever they're looking for.
Exactly.
And take them right to that spot without them feeling around.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
They've also offered to map the bottom of our bridges too. Like they could go in and in theory
You could see how many abandoned cars are down there. They could see whatever
we
they
were
want,
joking
right?
about could they go find the bomber that
I
we
remember
send
World
them
War
up there
II,
to try
right?
to find the
It
World
was
War II bomber.
during that era. I know, yeah.
Yes,
That
so
would be, that'd be a
there's
great find.
endless possibilities, and we're really excited about it.
Right. I understand it was removed that within hours. I don't know.
That's what they
by
say.
the federal government.
Yeah.
Something tells me if it were still there, we would know it were there if it was ever there. So, okay, that's amazing technology. I think that is very well worthwhile pursuing if we can, get the technology. Do they have a patent on this technology, or is this just something that's common that many cities do? And
I don't know the
this
answer
technology's
for
been
this
used. Okay,
specific
got it.
company if they do have a patent on that. My guess is that it's out there.
And it's by sonar. They obviously don't give us a clear picture. Because not even a drone can.
I think they can
produce a clear
render
picture.
an image.
Yeah,
is the-
interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, very, very interesting.
I'd love to invite you out when we.
I'd
get
love to
into that
be
testing.
there. I would. I would love
We'll
to
make
be
sure you
there.
get there.
I would.
Yeah.
And obviously, EMS is fully engaged in this process. And
Yeah, actually, this is back to Councilmember Warwick's question. This is one where they actually reached out EMS beforehand.
Yeah,
And
right.
they were collaborating beforehand and then, still applied
Right.
and went through the selection
Right, because I know they're trained to feel. They don't see. You really can't see when you're in a river. It's, muddy, whatever waters. Okay. I'm supportive. It's very interesting, and I'm glad that, we're looking at cutting edge things that possibly make, our future
Make life
easier and better and probably less dangerous.
and
for
safer.
our workers.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Further questions? And you all have, the PGH Lab has final presentations each year.
Yes.
That we could come to and observe and learn more about, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And we're all invited.
And you all are invited. We have an end of year presentation this year. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on where it was. It was in Hazelwood. It was that great venue out
Roundhouse.
there. It was incredibly hot, but we give companies an opportunity to kind of present what they found, and it's like just a fun, great event to celebrate the successes of the program.
All right, all those in favor of Bill 2560, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Affirmative recommendation. Thank you all. Bill 2561.
Resolution amending Resolution 526 of 2025, authorizing the mayor and the director of innovation and performance on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into an agreement or agreements or amendments thereto with ePlus Technology, Inc. for a voice over Internet Protocol unified communications platform to implement convergence of systems to support citywide communications by reducing the approved amount by $315,724 for an amended total cost not to exceed $1,784,726 over 5 years.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion?
The keywords here are reducing. So I just wanted to point that out to members. I don't know if there are any questions. Thank you.
Discussion? Further discussion? All those in favor of Bill 2561, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Affirmative recommendation. Final committee of the day, Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilman Mosley.
Bill number 2563, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 47 25th Avenue at no cost to the city.
Motion approved.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 2563, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. That concludes our meeting agenda. This afternoon at 1:30, council will hold budget hearings for the Department of Management and Budget that I will chair. Next week, council will hold their regular meeting on Tuesday, December 16th, and standing committees meeting on Wednesday, December 17th, both at 10 a.m. To register to speak at these meetings, please fill out the sign-up form for the council meeting webpage by the deadline, and you may also call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Is there anything from members? Councilmember Warwick.
Yeah, just a quick comment. So I got an email and then it was also a text from Megan Hammond at Fair Housing, who is someone who I appreciate enormously, and just about, and I don't know all the details about this, so I want to, preface with that, but that, there's actually concurrent to this meeting was a Commission on Human Relations hearing about a city employee who used a slur toward a resident while at work. Without getting into the details, I just, it can be very difficult working for the city, right? Like the public can be can sometimes be challenging, but it is very important for our staff, especially, all the time, but especially when they're at work, to do everything they can to remain professional and I know that we saw, I don't know, online, I saw there was recently, maybe it was a Swiss Vale employee, again, using very inappropriate language with a resident. I don't know the details of that one either, but I just ask our employees, and I think that, and I don't, regardless of the legality, one way or the other, right? It's very important for everyone who works at the city of Pittsburgh to, even when it requires taking a deep breath and, you know, sort of taking a beat to be very careful with our words and to, you know, when dealing with the public, as challenging as that may be sometimes. And also for us as a city to make sure that our employees have the necessary training and whatnot to make sure that incidents like these don't happen, because it can be very challenging being out there, you know, being out there in the world. And so I'll just leave it at that. But I appreciate Megan Hammond bringing it to my attention and to our attention. And anyway, thanks. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Coghill.
Yep,
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Kell-Smith, and then Councilman Coghill.
Just briefly, I just want to say, I do think that there needs to be some additional training. We actually had more than one of these incidents occur, and especially in our district. And one was one of our employees, again, and but back then, I think there were some mental health issues or whatever, and so the administration worked through that. But I just think maybe in general, and I also think that people are becoming so desensitized because people use racism a lot, and not always when it really is racism. But it's sad because then it minimizes their seriousness when there really is some true racism occurring, and we want to make sure that's what we're avoiding and addressing. And so I think it would be helpful to have some training on it. And I'm sure our HR department does some, but maybe some more frequently, or reminders or something. So I mean, it's a shame that you even have to have that, to be honest with you, that somebody in their own right would even just not want to hurt somebody else. But I'm sorry. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Councilman Coghill.
Thank you. To both your comments, it's right for us to expect our employees to be respectful and polite, period. So I just want to say that. But while I have members here at the table, I just wanted to go over, next week we're trying to plan with the planning department a briefing. Tuesday we have the line item vote. So it looks like we're going to have to schedule it on Monday, whether it's virtually or if you could be here in person to discuss, what the planning department is coming back with the comp plan and the details around that. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up so I don't have to chase you through the hallway. It's Monday we're scheduling for now. Tuesday we were afraid after a line item vote, that's not until 1:30, and it gets to be around 4 or 5 o'clock, and I was scared to lose you all at that point. So we'll let everybody know as to that time and that day. And we talked to Dr. Bay, and Monday seemed to be a problem, but I feel like that's the day that we have to work with here, and I'll work with the council president and you, finance chair.
Just a note, the budget line item vote is 12/18, the Thursday.
Oh, did that change?
Yes.
Oh,
check your
okay.
email.
So then I will shoot for Tuesday again,
So-
but we'll give you notice.
Yes,
Okay,
and
thank you.
it'll be further.
Yeah, two sessions.
It's been circulated to council members. It'll be further circulated to.
And don't chase us through the
Good
hall.
enough, good
Leave that
enough.
to Rick.
Yeah, I don't have to chase you. So okay, well that's good. Then we're going to shoot for Tuesday. Then. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from members? Seeing none, I will take a motion to excuse the absent members. There's no absent members.'re all here. Good job, everyone. Approve the minutes.
We're not
and
all
adjourn the
here,
meeting.
but okay.
We're very much here tonight.
We're together.
I'll take a motion to approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.